So while I was leading this training and consultancy business, focusing on project management, program management, change management, portfolio management, I worked very closely with the professional accrediting bodies, the bodies that set the curriculum, that set the exams, that gave people professional qualifications. And premier among these within the UK is the APM, now a chartered institute, the Association for Project Management. And I remember one particular day that they provided for their approved training organisations, their approved providers, one of their L&D people mentioning something called the Dreyfus model. That piqued my interest. So I began to research the Dreyfus model, and it was pioneered by two brothers who were academics from different disciplines, philosophy and engineering, Simon and Hubert Dreyfus, who were given a challenge by the US Air Force to figure out how they could better prepare and train their fighter pilots for combat situations. Well, in the course of that, they began to develop a model of skill acquisition, as they called it. And they moved on to other areas of skill, such as nursing and playing chess. And this model seemed to hold out quite well. It covers 5 phases. The novice, we all start at the novice level in acquiring any skill. Then the advanced beginner, then the proficient, then the competent, and finally the expert. And as they described expert, I saw a level of mastery in any particular skill that began to align with our research into high-performing program and project managers. But along the way, there was something that troubled me. It was the advanced beginner level. The advanced beginner is someone who may have gone on a business training course, who has now got some templates, now has got some theory behind them, and they try and make the world fit their theory. They try and make the world fit their templates. They're probably still aware that they're a bit rocky with their skill level. If they're not very careful, the advanced beginner can become a bit of a legalist, saying, well, that's not what the book says. No, it may not be what the book says, but it is what life says. You see, ultimately, any management theory, any method, any methodology is a simplification of a rich reality. The experts know this. And the best school is the school of life. This is very frustrating. You cannot get it all on a training course. I moved on to looking at how we might do this. Well, of course, the gateway to a lot of professions are the qualifications. But what about those of us who want to get better? Those of us who want to move towards the expert? Well, this is what I'm trying to provide, particularly in leading people through change. Yes, there is a place for theory. Yes, there is a place for the models and so forth. But that's really just a launch pad. What I found as I studied the proficient, but even more so the competent and the experts, is that they own their own learning and they're developing their own methods, their own rules of thumb, their own heuristics, as the academics call them. And things like intuition come into play. Now, got to be careful here because there is an organizational level of understanding that you need to bring everyone up to. We use terms, sometimes it turns into jargon, but it's a shorthand and everybody knows what we mean. So for example, when we talk about project, there's some rigor and definition around that. So we know that when somebody's working on this thing, it's a project. And when they're working on this thing, it's not a project. So those terms become very useful in terms of communication. But beyond that, how do you and I get better at our jobs? Well, I've begun to see an approach, and in recent years, I've been eager to develop it, which is to create a community of people who are becoming what I call positive outliers, the high performers. And in this whole area of leading people through change, we've begun to create a different approach. We've not abandoned theory, we've not abandoned tools, methods, and so on, but they're merely the launch pad for a rich development and exercise and discussion in how we go beyond that. You see, if we all became people who could lead others through change in an effective and powerful way, in an expert way, we could change the world. We could become world changers. That's the opportunity we have here.